Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube.
Woo! Good afternoon, good day, good evening, good morning, however you're
Wherever
watching
you
us.
are around the world,
Um,
join us. Join us. This
you're
is
listening to Coast to Coast AM. No, I'm just kidding.
live. Join
George
us.
Nori. No, just go
We
ahead,
are,
Art.
we are just doing a live beer and BS talk rant, whatever we want to do here. Yeah, join us live if you're on Massachusetts Beer Reviews group of Facebook. I literally just posted to join us all if you want to do that. Again, today's topic is just a beer and a BS thing. I thought maybe Eric, a Lions fan, was going to join us, but maybe he is not available to do
You
that.
should be happy. His Lions won today. Right now, they got a 2-game lead in the division, so I'm surprised. Yeah.
Didn't look like it didn't look like what's his face there was very happy. Their quarterback Drew Brees didn't look very happy about that. No.
No, I think, but the Saints may have a chance in this division right now.
Looks a lot like that right now. You're right.
Atlanta losing today, and Tampa Bay is playing right now against San Diego. So,
and it's no surprise that the New England Patriots crushed the Rams today.
The Rams, and they gave Coach Fisher a 2-year extension. But look, the thing is for that was just a sense of stability. I mean, they're playing at a dump right now at the Coliseum until their stadium gets built. So it's like we need something to face, something with consistency, and he's the guy right now. So
I have to live with it for now.
Exactly, but right now it's a battle between them and the Raiders for who's going to get home field right now, and Raiders are playing Buffalo, and I don't know the score of that game either.
Yep.
So I'll find out.
All right, so to the topic at hand, which is
beer and BS.
Beer and BS. So the beer portion of my review here today is I'm working through. I don't know if anybody saw any of those. Some of the Guinness reviews that I've been doing recently. I've been working through the Guinness Brewmasters Collection Variety 12-pack that included the Dublin Porter, which is a 3.8% porter, the West Indies Porter, which is a 6% porter, the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout, which is a 7%, 7% or 7.5% alcohol by volume stout, and then this one, Guinness Draft in the bottle.
Yeah, I had that. The Guinness Drought, right? Am I correct?
Yeah. I believe it's pronounced draft, but yeah, that's exactly the beer. I used to say drought all the time before Louisiana Beer Review said, "Oh, it's pronounced draft." I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, that was a good beer. When I reviewed it, I was very impressed with it. I was like, gave a lot of good markings on this, and I thought it was very enjoyable. A good stout. Everyone says Roberts, the Young's double chocolate stout, kind of similar to that, but
yes,
and there's some similarities to it, but the Guinness
by the way,
one was
Young's double chocolate stout is by far my favorite beer of all time from the can.
Yeah.
I love that beer. That was the first beer. That was this and that beer and Guinness before that really, for me, I know they're not the most complex flavored beers, and I've had tons of them since then, but still, Young's Double Chocolate Stout is my absolute favorite. And it doesn't have to be the most flavorful thing in the world, but it is, what it is. And Eric, a Lions fan, might be joining us. I'll tell him we just started. So, what are you drinking?
With that one, and I saw the can with the hydro with the
nitro
in the can. Yeah, where they were shaking the can, I kind of thought that was pretty cool. I was like, what is this? I thought something is they give the beer some color or whatever, just, being silly. But I kind of said, okay, keep it, for what it does. But that was a good stout. But if you still, I would more lean towards Guinness.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10 over that one. The Youngs. Any given time, but
sure. What are you bringing to
right now is something simple. Like I said, I had to run to the store. We're doing all this moving. We took a break. I said, all right, let me go run and get a beer right around the corner. And I thought my wife was going to be leaving to go handle some stuff at her job. She has like a office position. She has to get ready for some meeting. But anyway, I thought, I said, okay, I'm going to run it to the store real quick, went to the service station, which, bam, and got, the standard Miller High Life, and enjoying that. Of course, I mean, there's really nothing really needs to be said about this. Of course, we all know 1903, the history of this beer, a legend or a legacy beer, as John Sharon likes to call it. And came back in some popularity. I think they've been around, but now over the last 20 years or so, and more so the last 10 years now, or 15 years, it's really become sort of the popularity, beer right now that people are drinking. Is a good standby beer to have.
Excellent.
And like I said, I really wanted PBR because surprisingly last night I was we stopped to go see some Christmas lights, and we stopped at one of the upscale fast food places, Applebee's, I like to call them, afterwards, they got Applebee's Fridays, exactly, upscale fast food, but and they had a PBR on draft, and I said, really? Yeah, PBR on draft? Okay. I haven't had it on draft in some time now, and I bought it, and I thought, this PBR on draft is damn good compared to the bottle or the can. So it's just a shame that these, that a lot of these restaurants or whatever don't sell these beers on draft. I'm sure it'll taste 10 times better on draft than it is on can.
Yeah, and that's what the Guinness draft is trying to create here. They're trying to create that draft experience in a can or in this bottle. Now, the bottle's a little different. The bottle, I guess what they do with it is when they bottle the beer, they do something with the beer itself, the contents of the beer itself, where they adjust for the CO2 levels inside of the beer, so they don't need to have that CO2 little nitrogen widget ball inside of the bottle to enjoy
right.
it. You even say it right there. Enjoy straight from the bottle. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it in this George Killian's Nuttic style pint glass. I think that'll work well.
Yeah.
And by the way, well, listen to this. It still has the similar kind of a hiss to it.
I hear that. Yeah.
And I'm going to pour it really hard. Really hard. That's how I pour my Guinness out of the bottle. I don't normally buy bottles. The cans are where it's at. I don't think that the bottle creates, and I'll let you know in this review, but I don't think the bottle creates quite the same creamy draft experience that the CO2 nitrogen widget cans do, or obviously the draft does. And I'm glad to say that it seems in the United States we've been getting, we've been going back to the Ireland brewed versions of Guinness that we get imported. A lot of the stuff
we have.
A lot of the stuff we used to get has been coming out of Canada. I think Toronto, Canada. But now we're getting the authentically brewed stuff from Ireland. And if anybody doesn't know, this guy named Arthur Guinness that started the brewery in 1759. He acquired this brewery called the St. James Gate, and he signed a 9,000 year lease on the brewery, which is ridiculous. So people have Guinness for a long effing time, I guess.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Well, Guinness is is one of those beers that universally, no matter where you are around the world, here in the States, Caribbean, and which is a very popular beer.
Yep.
And this, Eric, being where there's a lot of very eclectic, mosaic group of folks living in that city of Boston, and just like it was for me growing up in the New York, New Jersey area, you have so many different cultures from Caribbean, Russian, this group, that group,
Exactly.
Eastern European, whatever. No Guinness, and they drink and they buy it, a lot. And it's one of those iconic, legendary beers that, you're going to get a good product. Nothing's going to be, they're not going to skimp on anything. They're not going to kind of change this recipe. That everything is still the same. And I know for me, with my dad, he used to drink Guinness cold, ice cold, put it in the freezer. And when I would see him drink it, and others have it also like to drink it at room temperature, or maybe just refrigerate it for a little bit, take it out, let it sit out for a while, and then go ahead and serve it. And of course, when you go to the bars, they'll have the spoon when they're pouring the Guinness, so that kind of all that foam doesn't come out, and making sure that it's just right for that glass, that pint glass, pint glass like this.
No matter how much Guinness is produced around the world,
all that foam, but it's
no matter how much Guinness is produced around the world, and craft beer labeling aside, I think this is still a quality product, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna think that. Again, I'm not so fond of the bottle, but I'm gonna give it an honest review right now. Obviously, you're getting a stereotypical kind of a Guinness head. I think in the nitro can, it would go all the way up to the top of that glass.
Right.
And it wouldn't have so many. It would have a lot more bubbles and a lot tighter of the bubbles. And in the Guinness glass, you're not getting a totally dark color. You are getting some reddish tinges towards the bottom of the glass.
Right.
The smell is what you'd expect from your typical Guinness if you've ever had it. There's light roasted notes, very light roasted, very light chocolate, very light grainy notes. There's for as light as the beer is at 4.2%, and this is, let me see if I can find it here. It is 125 calories, 9.9 carbs, and this is a 11.2 ounce bottle, although they're giving me the stats for a 12-ounce serving, so go figure.
What's the ABV again?
4.2, same as Bud Light and a lot of.
Wow, very. When I had it, it was. I guess that's about right. I thought it would be a little more stronger than that. Maybe the extra stout was, but.
So the other thing I was going to mention is, and maybe goes along with the 4.2, there actually is a watery kind of a smell, if that makes any sense. A light, thin smell, but. On the taste of the bottled version of Guinness, cheers. I will give you my thoughts here. Yeah, it's ultra smooth, crisp, clean, refreshing as hell. You're getting the creaminess from that head still in the bottle. You're definitely getting most of those things I mentioned in the smell, which is you're getting a lightly roasted barley malt kind of a taste. You're definitely getting some chocolate, some coffee, some graininess is in there. You're definitely getting a little bit of a watery texture, which for the ultra elite craft beer fans might turn them off.
Yeah, probably would, but,
to each their own on that. I think it's got enough going on without having too many, I think it's got enough going on in the beer without being one that's going to weigh you down. And if you want to really flavor some beer, this is one to really check out. It's definitely got a creamy complexity, not complex, by the way. It's definitely got a creamy texture to the mouthfeel with that head. But the only thing that I can say that could be considered a negative to some people is it does have a watery finish to the beer. It's not very bitter. It's got a little bit of a roasted flavor and a little bit of a
compared to the original extra stout.
Yeah, I would say compared to the can, this isn't as creamy, and it feels like it's a little bit thinner in the mouthfeel. Although that nitrogen widget from the cans might be doing a lot to contribute to that mouthfeel than whatever they're doing to the contents of the bottle.
Right.
They're giving Guinness on Beer Advocate Guinness Draft, which is probably either in draft or in can, I would guess, is where this review comes from. The Bros give it a 70, and out of only 2,211 reviews from the rest of Beer Advocate, it gets a 79. Right. I'm going to continue to sip on this beer, and I will give you my thoughts and opinions later on. But, John, explain your tasty American beverage.
Yeah, I'm about to get me another one right now. It's that good. Yeah. What more can you say about High Life? It is, like I said, 1903. It is your American Adjunct Lager, but it just seems that it has become a little bit more, has a little more hop to it, has a little more bite to this beer for some reason. I don't know if they've done anything to change this recipe or not. I'm not sure, but it just seems now that the recipe, and I've had this before, but over the last few year or so, it's really gotten a little more. And then again, I would say the light
Yeah.
has a little more hop to it. The Miller High Life Light has a little more hop to it than the original. It's still, you know, the color. It has some good malts to it. Definitely some. Well, I'm saying, you know, those German type hops, but you know, it's just something about it. It's just the way it goes down, the crispness, the style of it. It makes it such a good beer. And you see now with the merger of this merger now with Molson Coors, right? That they're really taking a really significant pride or emphasis on trying to bring some of the same recipe style of what those beer was back in the day.
By the way, it looks like it's one. I don't know about Guinness. I didn't look that up, but I'm on the Miller Coors website, and it says ingredients are water, barley malt, corn syrup, which is maltose, yeast, and hop extract. It's got 143 calories and 13.1 carbohydrates per a 12 fluid ounces, and it's 4.6 calories, so it's a lot less than what you would think of when you think of an American lager at 5%. And again, it's won a lot of awards. It's won silver medals, bronze.
You're talking about your beer or my beer?
Yeah, the Miller High Life.
The High Life, yeah.
Well, it won a world beer. I'll start and end with this one. It's won a lot of awards, but this year it won a silver in the World Beer Cup's American style lager category. So as Jay Terriot would say, it doesn't win awards because it's terrible, right?
Right. Yeah. But it tells you right there, and when these folks and I'm sure the people on the outside looking in, they don't pay attention to any of this stuff. You know, they're like, man, I don't care. I mean, give me a beer that's cold. I don't give a bleep of it, whatever. but for those of us, and when you see that, and when you see these well influential folks, who follow beer and know the industry well inside and out, and they praise beers like High Life and Milwaukee's Best, or even the Guinnesses of the world and whatnot, they know something. And it tells you that, you keep, all these different style, these craft breweries, and a lot of these craft beers are good. I'm not dissing them. I think they're all excellent, well done. But it tells you that these guys know what they're doing, that these beers are being made the right way, and that, these are exceptional beers. So give these beers a chance. I know the beer snobs don't want to do that. They tend to throw their nose on it or give them the finger, like, I can't drink this crap. This is just garbage, But if they're winning these awards at the World Beer Cup or the Great American Beer Festival, I mean, that must be telling you something,
I guess in a way, and in a way, I think you're right about that. To me personally, and I just actually filmed a review of the Cooper's Vintage Ale from 2009 out of Australia, and that was a great.
This evening.
That was a great beer, and one of the things that I did mention, and I mentioned practically a similar thing that you just said there is for me personally, and on this channel, and if you don't like it, you can go.
Thank you. That's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
Pretty much. But on my channel, I review what the hell ever of beers that I want to do. I'll take suggestions. People want to, leave a comment and request a beer. I'll try to get to it if it's in my neck of the woods and I can get to it. Not like I'm going to do 40-ounce beer challenges on this channel, but
or a Mad Dog review. Mad Dog.
Never seen that in Massachusetts. I'm glad. Sounds like. But what I'm trying to say here is it doesn't really matter to me what the style is. I don't just cater to craft beer people, even though that's what I consider myself, and I don't just cater to the macro beer fans. I just drink and review, and if you don't like it, sorry about that. But I also did want to say once again, in that video I mentioned it, and I want to mention it again. If anybody here that's watching, all of 0 people live right now, if anybody here that watches this review later on would like to join up on the Massachusetts Beer Reviews group of Facebook, that would be fantastic. Right now, and to me, it's kind of mind-boggling at the moment. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but to me it does. Right now, we have 107 people strong on the Massachusetts Beer Reviews group of Facebook. So I got to thank everybody and John and everybody else that's a part of that group, because that's I think I started that maybe in October, and it's already grown to over 100 people. That's insane. And I'll start to notice people are requesting to be added to the group. So keep it coming, keep going. If anybody wants to do any of these reviews like this with us, why don't we get together and share a beer?
Yep.
That's what I say. We're all trying to be mutually inclusive in the beer community.
Yeah, and a lot of the beers that you've had, and I want to thank another reviewer. I'm sure he's probably in your channel too, Eric, Patrick Tucker. You know, a lot of beers that are very popular up there, like Utica or the forgive me for pronouncing. I'm going to butcher this name, Narragansett. If I'm
correct.
All right, good. All right. You know, those styles of beers, which are, you know, very hard to get and very hard to find, and these are, you know, like the Genesee, legendary, classic, old school style beers that, you know, and I think what's is amazing, a lot of young folks now are starting to realize now, those in their 20s, you know, what these beers, and they're drinking them for the first time. Wow, this is, hey man, these beers have been around forever, young man or young lady. I mean, you're just, you know, just appreciate it, you know, because be careful, it may be gone before you know it. So
exactly. And you said it earlier, that's kind of a legacy beer, as our buddy John Sharon would call it. Definitely. And
go ahead.
And the cool thing about some of those beer names that you mentioned are, even though you can consider them you know, iconic American beers, it's I think everywhere in the country is going to have their own regional beers that are really unique. Not, I mean, maybe not unique in flavor and style, but they're going to be really they really talk to the people, and they really express, you know, the region that they come out of. And a lot of these beers have a big success in their region and where they're from. And it's kind of nice to see that even if they're a bigger company or they get bought out by bigger corporations, they're still, even with the Narragansett, and I had several last night in Rhode Island, even with the Narragansett, it's still a very regional brand, and they're still really brand loyal to the beer in the regions that they were originally produced.
And we got none here in our state, which is kind of sad, you know. Oh darn! Sorry. Yeah, we got picked off. Eli got picked off. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, we don't have that here in Alabama, unfortunately. I mean, as you can see, you know, the beers that were sold up there are down here. You know, the Keystones, the Buds, the Millers, whatever, and that wouldn't be considered regional. I mean, now since we've really begun to flex ourselves and start becoming more known nationally with our craft beers, or some of the breweries like Good People, Band of Brothers, you know, Back 40, Straight to Ale, all these different breweries here, Avondale, you know, in terms of our style, we never really had a beer that was considered regional like our own. You know, when I was back home in Jersey, obviously Genesee, of course, being next door, New York, obviously living in New Jersey, we would get Genesee, we would get Yuengling next door to us in Pennsylvania, with Narragansett, you know, and whatnot. So down here, living down in these last 10 years, there's no such thing as a beer that's considered regional. Whatever we just got, whatever the main, the BMC, Bud Miller Coors, that's what we had, and that's what they get. And that's kind of how it's remained. I mean, Jay down there, it was always Dixie and Jack's brewery, you know, some of their beers. So Alabama, they did have a history of brewery, but, you know, some remain, others change, you know, others because of reasons. And of course, you know, the legislator here in Montgomery,
yep,
you know, with their their political and religious views when it comes to alcohol.
They're nonsense.
And anyway, that's another topic for another channel.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they allow craft beers to be sold in your town.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do, and again, and of course, when we finally 2009, when when we finally be able to get beers that were over 6%, Hurricane and Steel finally came to our area, because by then, all we had, if you want to consider it, of the high gravity or maybe extra strong beers, or in that category of malt liquors, were Mickey's and Colt 45, and that was about it. So like I said, you were just, like I said, you were stuck with the usual, the Keystones, Bud, Miller Coors, the economic beers, the Keystone Lights, we had Schlitz, Old Milwaukee, things like that. So
yeah. You don't really have a beer that comes
that really identifies, our area
of Alabama. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, the closest you probably got, and that's not even probably really that close, I would think, would be something like Abita beers, maybe.
Abita, and now since 2012, since they opened up Fairhope, but Fairhope is considered more of a craft beer, in a way, and of course they'll charge the prices. It's not something where it's like, is not a beer that for example, Narragansett, I'm sure it's like for a case, so you're only paying maybe $13.
A 6-pack, if you get a 6-pack of Narragansett lager, which is just a standard American style lager, they come in the 6-packs. The typical 6-pack that you get is in a 16-ounce tall boy, and they usually go somewhere around $6 and change for a 6-pack of tall boys, which
it's not
that bad at all.
6-pack, and then for a 12-pack or whatever 18-pack, you're paying what?
It can't be much more than $14 or $15.
It should be considered a regular, good, decent budget beer to have in the house, right?
Yeah, and if you go on a place like Beer Advocate or Rate Beer, actually, strangely enough, the Narragansett beer gets really good ratings for that style of beer. If you get a 6-pack, let me see here. I'm on a local website for a store in my town. If you get a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans of Narragansett, it's going to cost you $11.39. That's a pretty good deal, if you ask me. It's not too bad. I think anywhere north of $13+ for a American style lager, you might be paying too much. So, as far as some good European style lagers are concerned, and there are many out there that I think are far superior to our American adjunct lagers, you do at the end of the day have to weigh the pros and cons of spending an extra couple of bucks for the spending an extra couple of bucks for Stella Artois over buying your Miller High Life. Is it really worth the extra bucks to buy Stella versus High Life? You do have to.
I mean, I like Stella.
Yeah,
I think it's an excellent beer, but I would pick High Life.
All right.
Price wise.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that whole idea. Michael Sheldon Jr. is joining us live. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Mike. What's going on?
We were just getting through with a discussion on Narragansett beer, by the way. He is out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Hey, Michael, what's going on? How are you? Jean Pierre, the Beer Ramble in Mobile, Alabama.
What are you drinking this evening, Michael Sheldon Jr.?
I'm drinking the Natty Light.
All right. Woo!
Natty. All right.
Give us a little
another one you can't go wrong with, too. Another iconic, legendary beer. Norm Crosby. We used to do those commercials.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ, man. Damn it.
He's watching foosball. Give us a rundown of your beer there, Michael Sheldon.
It's refreshing, cold, crisp. That's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. How would you rate your beer?
I rate it a 6 out of 10.
All right. Is that the beer that you would normally buy, or what's your standard go-to beer?
My standard go-to beer is actually natural ice.
Really? All right. And how does that compare to natural ice?
It's lighter. It has a light taste to it.
And that's it.
That's it.
All right.
You know me. I don't do these reviews very well.
That's all right. The idea is to bring everybody together for the name of beer. And we were enjoying some Narragansett lagers last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you last night.
At the local, we had a local heavy metal and rap mixture show. So all the rap metal bands were together last night. That was kind of interesting. But I'm winding down on my Guinness draft bottle here.
Nice.
And I think as Beer Advocate gives it a 70, maybe they're talking about the cans or the draft version. I think the bottle is just a little lackluster compared to the cans of the home version you can buy. I think it's not as creamy, and it just feels like it's a little bit thinner in the mouthfeel than a normal lager or a normal draft would be. So I mean, I'll still give it a B overall as a beer, but I'd rather drink the cans and the draft version of the beer. But it's, again, it's still a good standard beer that you can find anywhere in the world that has a good beer. There we go. Selection. And it will go good with a lot of fried foods, pub foods, steaks, burgers, chicken, you name it. Pizza, steak buns, you name it. This beer goes with it. So I'll give it I give it a B. And I'd rather drink the can or the draft version of that. Certainly. So what's going on in the world of Michael Sheldon Jr.? You like to tell the audience?
Well, I went to the bar today and I had a stuffy, and it went well with Narragansett.
Now, for all of us that don't know what a stuffy is, can you explain what that is?
It's a stuffed clam. You take the clam, you open it up, mix it up with stovetop stuffing, and then you put it back into the clam shell and you eat it.
That sounds delicious. And John, I muted you because it was a little noisy, so I apologize on that. You're still muted. You have to unmute yourself, John, if you want to speak. But yeah, again, I'd give that a B+. That's pretty good. And you give and you were giving the Natty Lite a 6 out of 10. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So this has been. Unless John unmutes and wants to add any final words to our comments here today. Here we are.
No, all I'm going to say is that it's Natty Light. It's a good beer, and I was listening to what you were saying. It's perfect for wings and hot wings and different, barbecue. I mean, burgers, whatever. But like I said, Natty Light is another historic legend beer, as good as it gets, and the price point on those is very good. And guys, another thing I want to ask y'all.
Sure.
Do y'all notice when these beers, the highlights, even Narragansett, once people start, or to say the young people start buying them, the hipsters, whatever you like to call them, you notice immediately that these prices tend to creep up slowly when you go to the store?
PBR, I think PBR is a good example of that hipster beer. I've always noticed that if you go to a bar, you can get if they have their PBR, it's usually like $2 a can or something like that. But I honestly haven't really noticed that, but I can see why you might say that, just because they're getting more, because they're obviously getting more publicity and they're getting more shelf space. They can probably command. You would think they could command a higher price, right? Yeah. But I honestly haven't really noticed that, but I'm definitely going to take a look at that because I think for some people, when it comes to craft beer versus your American style lager beers like Natural Ice, like Natty Ice, like Miller High Life, and to a certain extent Guinness Draft, I think it's almost an economical. I think in certain aspects, it's an economical thing that drives you to what it is that you choose to drink. Now we all can't, go on Beer Advocate and start trading our life savings away to get some ultra rare beer from Belgium or something. So we have to, live within our means when it comes to craft beer. And I realize there are people that would rather buy the really expensive stuff and have a better time drinking that than drinking a low priced beer that's low quality. But we all don't have millions of dollars just to buy beer, right?
Right.
And I think within the community of YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and those kind of beer advocate places, I think, and we've talked about this multiple times, Jean, but I think that it just seems like people see beer drinking and beer reviewing as lager beers versus craft beer guys. We can't be, you can't be together.
Can't be together. We can't, exactly.
It's stupid. And I know that Michael Sheldon Jr., and I'm glad that we should have done it yesterday and we didn't, but I know that he is looking to try at some point in time some more craft beer and looking to explore that whole scene. So, I mean, that's cool in of itself. But again, I say that if you like what you like, just drink it. Who cares? Who cares how they're going to view you in the end? It's all about what you like and what ultimately you want to spend your money on. You should not have to be told what to spend your money on. You spend your money on what you want to drink.
Exactly.
That's how I want to, kind of end that little rant on that.
I think when I get done here, I'm probably take care of the kids. I'm probably going to run and get me stop and get me I don't know, maybe something. maybe something, whatever it is, something. Whatever it is going to be ice cold, and I'm going to.
You know what I had recently? I don't know what the distribution of this beer is in your area. I recently did a beer review of Molson Ice, and it was fantastic.
I cannot get Molson Ice. All I think I can get is Molson Canadian, but I cannot get Molson Ice, Molson Triple X. That's all I can get, and I get Rolling Rock. I do get Genesee Cream Ale and the Lite and the regular. So, but I think I'm kind of in the mood for that cream ale today. It's that kind of day. It's been rainy all day. It's been coming down pretty hard, I think. But the problem is that it's way out my area when I'm coming home. So, so I may stop and probably get me Milwaukee's Best, the new Milwaukee's Best Lager, 4.8%. So
right, yeah, we can get a 30-pack of the Genesee Cream Ales.
That is an exceptional beer, and I really enjoy that a lot.
We can get that in our neck of the woods for a 30-pack is under $13. That's
it's
insane.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is insane. But if you were to buy, I guess that's another question.
$8.88 for a 12-pack here in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, so Michael Sheldon Jr., thank you for joining the review discussion. If you were to buy any 30-pack and bring it to a party or have it on hand, what would you choose and why?
I would choose Narragansett because I'm very partial to Narragansett.
Excellent. I think that is a great beer in the style. And what would you choose, Jean?
Me, for a 30-pack, it would probably be, more likely would probably be, if we had 30 packs, we only get 24 packs here, it would probably be the Milwaukee's Best brand, whether it be the lager, the new lager, or the light. I'm really liking the new lager. I think they really did a good job, upping the ABV on that from 4.3, whatever it was. Some say it was 4.5. to, you know, some websites say, but up to 4.8%. I think that's going to be a big reason this beer will begin to do well as a good standby or, you know, budget beer, whatever.
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
I'm a little confused by that because I don't see that beer yet in my area, and I'm not sure exactly what makes the Milwaukee's best lager different than the Milwaukee's best premium.
Good question. I think you can, you know, that I think they decided that, you know, maybe upping it would give it a little more, I guess, cachet with High Life, I guess. You know, to me, it's been just something that I think it's really, it just works for me. You know, I don't know why. Why would they? You know, what makes it the premium going up to making it now the lager? I guess they were hearing from what people were saying, and people were buying the lager, but I guess they decided let's just crank it up some.
Yeah. Now, so, if you were to go onto the Milwaukee's Best Lite website and try to find any information that there's anything called Milwaukee's Best Lager, you won't find it. By the way, it's a terrible website.
It is. I will agree with that, Eric. It is a very bad website. Not good at all.
I don't even know what the point of even buying a .com monthly is for this thing, because all it says is because you made it through Monday, because you remembered her birthday, because, let's be honest, you can't dance, grab some Best Light, because when it comes to sharing a beer with friends, any excuse is a good excuse. Share the best. That is the entire website right there. I just read the whole thing.
No information about the ABV, the history, whatever of this beer. The only information you get if you go to the Miller Coors website, and that's it. When you have list all the beers, and you click on that beer, and it'll tell you the ABV, the history of it. And if you go now to the Miller Coors website, when you hit Milwaukee's Best, they don't have the 4.3, they have the 4.8, and they tell you the history. And it's, you know, it's kind of disappointing, you know, to see that, you know, but.
Might I add, when you go to the Milwaukee's Best Light website, it starts with, this site is designed and optimized for the following browsers and operating systems. Although this website is a total piece of S and doesn't tell you jack shit. But it tells you you need a special computer to run a website that I just read all about in less than 15 seconds. So, that's, I guess, another pet peeve of we haven't even talked about that. We can have a whole different BS discussion on beer pet peeves, and we did that with Rod J and his channel, Rod J's Beer Ventures on YouTube. We had a whole video, and you might have been there, Sean. I think you were. We did a whole video of our pet peeves when it comes to drinking beers at the bar.
Yeah, I was there for that one. Yes.
And then you could have a whole pet peeve about the way that beers are marketed and the way that they create their websites. Now, I know we did a video on beer labels last Thursday with him. And it sounded like Jay from Louisiana Beer Reviews just hates beer labels. No beer labels. No. No, but seriously. If I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Michael Sheldon, or if you even really think about that when you drink a beer. But if your bottle can't even tell you how much ABV is in it, when it was brewed, when it was bottled, then that kind of annoys me, at least a little bit. If it doesn't tell you what the style is, what's its alcohol percentage, and you know when it was brewed, that's things that need to be on bottles, I think.
Well, with the Natural Light, it shows when it was brewed, but it doesn't show the ABV or the IBUs.
Which, you know, I wouldn't expect that light beer drinkers are really concerned about IBUs, although I think
some probably are.
And Jay is joining us live from Louisiana. Hello, Jay. How's it going in the world of Drew Brees?
Mr. Terrio, how are you doing, sir?
It's not going too well in the world of Drew Brees, in fact.
Yes. Well, you know what? I was telling Eric, you guys got a shot in that division right now with Atlanta losing today. And I don't know what the score in that Tampa Bay San Diego game, but I think you got a shot.
Forget it.
Jeez. We were just discussing the epicness that is the Milwaukee's best Lite website. That thing is totally horrible. I'm trying to go.
I don't think have they updated it at all.
Well, they don't put any information about their beer on the website. It just is this. You know, you want the best beer, you're drinking it.
That's a dead link. I don't know why Miller has those websites. I would just go straight to Miller Coors. You have somebody in your hangout today I don't recognize.
His name is Michael Sheldon Jr. from Rhode Island. He's drinking natural Lite.
Well, hello, and Michael, and I've been to Rhode Island. I got a parking ticket there for $10.
What part of Rhode Island was that?
Yeah, we're notorious for tickets.
I was at the. Well, it was my fault because I was at the state capitol and I just parked right in front, and I'm not thinking, duh, it's a meter, it's a business day, I'm just not thinking. So I got this. I come back to the car. I said, "What is this? A ticket?" I said, "Oh well, $10. It wasn't too bad, but I wasn't too happy about it." What are you drinking? Oh, Guinness draft.
I'm still working through that Brewmasters collection variety 12 pack, and I decided that I haven't done Guinness on the draft on camera, even in the bottle. So I did it in the bottle, and I still give it a high B+, but I'm not as partial, and I did put it in a non-X style pint glass. I'm not partial to the bottle as much as I am to the can or the draft. I think in the bottle, it just seems like it's a little bit thinner and it's not quite as creamy as it is from the draft or the can, but I still like it, but not my favorite version of it.
Yeah. It's made to drink straight out the bottle, huh?
Yeah, that's what they market it as. That's what the bottle cap says, enjoy straight from the bottle.
Hey, this is not a live hangout, is it?
We're sure live right now. We are on air live.
Okay, I'll watch what I say.
Okay. My viewership don't matter. I want to say I want to say this to everybody again, but the last review that I did this afternoon of that Cooper's Vintage Ale 2009, I wanted to thank everybody that does this whole beer review community thing, because I started this Massachusetts Beer Review Facebook group maybe 2 months ago, and we already got 107 people on it, which is mind-boggling to me right now. It's grown bigger than this channel of YouTube, which is crazy. So I thank everybody that's a part of that. Nobody's mutually exclusive. If you drink Natty Ice, if you drink Guinness, if you drink Heady Topper, join the review discussion. That's all I wanted to say about that. So
you don't have to be Massachusetts, huh?
No. Good place to discuss beers.
I hear some kind of echo.
Echo?
I was telling Eric, I said, hello, Eric. He has a natural ice can, if you can hear me.
What's going on, John?
What's going on?
How was the natural ice?
Day, man.
How was the natural ice treating you?
Very well.
Eric, don't look at my face because I'm depressed.
Hey, I had to rub my eyes, Ron. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I didn't think I was watching the same Lions team.
Believe it. That was pathetic for the Saints. They look so bad. The Lions, hey, they're looking better and better. So, I mean, Jean is over here talking about the playoffs. I'm like, Jean,
ooh,
forget it.
You got some natty ice there.
Well, there's a chance, So,
but the chances are about as good as they would like natural Lite to review. It could happen. It ain't going to happen. Yeah, you said you wanted to do a little beer and BS, and that's why I was asking if it was online because on there because I almost said something. All right, but Jean-Pierre thought there was some more beer drama yesterday, but that was actually, he was misunderstanding what we were saying.
What happened with that? I'm not familiar with that.
Well, because Eric was saying, I went all the way to Detroit to get that camo. And I was like, oh, no, not that.
I thought about going. I never did make it.
Oh, that's right. He thought about it. Thank goodness he didn't do it. I said, oh, no, don't do it. And then Jean said, what?
I tried.
Jean was like, is there beer drama? I said, not that I'm aware of.
Where did you get that beer, by the way, when you were in Detroit? You remember?
Yeah, I was going down the main boulevard. It's like Wood.
Oh, Woodward Avenue.
Yeah, Woodward Avenue, and there was some pretty nice liquor stores. There's one on the corner. I can't remember the corner street. I could look it up. I think it's Grand River Parkway, corner of Grand River Parkway and Woodward, and there's a real nice liquor store. Seems like it's run by some Arab guys. Shock. But
there's a big Arab community in Dearborn, so that's not surprising.
Right. And apparently every other community that has liquor stores. But that's irrelevant to the point. I don't even know why I brought that up. But I went in there and they had all kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of nice stuff. But I didn't buy a whole lot of craft beer because I can get craft beer here like, endlessly. So I just said, let me get these oddball things I cannot buy, like
Right.
Schlitz, Red Bull, and the Schlitz.
I think Eric's messing with you.
That's enough of that. Hey, and all those other kind of oddball malt liquors, and then ice, camo black ice. I was like, oh man, I shouldn't buy this, but I did anyway. And
I gotta ask this of our buddy here, Michael Sheldon Jr. Because we both live in pretty much the similar area in New England. I don't know what your experience is with the malt liquors, but I don't notice that with all these different brands we hear about, that at least I hear about from the beer community, that we get a whole bunch of variety as far as that's concerned. I don't know if you drink a lot of malt liquors there, Michael Sheldon.
Pretty regional.
You talking like Jack Daniels and stuff?
No. The beers. The beers like Colt 45 that come in the 40-ounce bottles.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what kind of beers do we get in our area that you see.
Colt 45, Steel Reserve. I would say Natural Ice would go under that as well.
Mm-hmm. So literally, he's about correct there. Literally, that's about, and maybe King Cobra. That's literally about the extent that we get of malt liquor. We don't get Mickey's. We don't get this Schlitz Red Bull. We don't get the double malt Colt 45. We get very little when it comes to malt liquor, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is in Massachusetts. But I've heard enough about that Mickey's malt liquor that I would love to try that sometime. It sounds like that's a pretty good malt liquor.
It's not bad. I mean, if it's again 5.6%, it's nothing too offensive about it. It's pretty decent,
Yeah, and the last one I remember really liking was this one called Heffen, and maybe Michael Sheldon might remember this one. It was called Heffenreffer Private Stock. It came in a green 40-ounce bottle, and they would advertise this one as the beer with the imported taste, and it kind of had a Heineken-like flavor, and it was considered a malt liquor, but it had that European almost green bottle, almost like a Carlsberg in a way, kind of a taste to it, and it was considered an American malt liquor. So, I mean, for them to make a malt liquor that tasted like a German Pilsner or something like that, I think that was pretty good. Although they used to make that somewhere in Massachusetts, strangely enough, and they closed down the production on that. And I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was, but as we know, sometimes these regional beers and sometimes these big legacy brands come and go for various reasons that are maybe not disclosed to the public all the time.
Talking about that Heffenreffer?
I liked that stuff.
The last one I bought in 2 years ago, and I bought it in Covington, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And There was the last 6-pack on the shelf in the cooler. It was probably one of the last 6-packs sold in America, and I don't know, it tasted pretty gamey.
I've never seen that in a 6-pack. I've only seen it in a 40-ounce bottle.
I bought it I bought a single pint can of it in Washington D.C. across the street from the Nationals ballpark in 2010, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got busted in the stadium for having the cans.
In the stadium?
Yeah, and I told the guy, I said, well, because I had 2 cans. I had
Low key.
it was my fault because I wanted to go get one of those game programs, and the guy saw me. Otherwise, I would have never got caught. But I had I bought the St. Ides high gravity malt liquor, and I bought the Heffenreffer back when it was made by Pabst.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they sold it soon after to the Heffenreffer family, and they didn't make any money, so they just shut it down. I mean, they couldn't make any money. But I told the guy, I said, well, I'm not drinking them here. They're going to get hot anyway. I said, I collect cans and bottles, and the guy told me he was going to be closing at 9. I know the game's going to last past 9 o'clock. Oh, I got to take you I said, you could take me to the office. Maybe they could hold it for me or something, because they were going to like kick me out the ballpark.
Huh.
And he was like, okay. And I went to the office, and I wasn't worried about getting arrested. They're not going to arrest somebody for something ridiculous like that. But he was saying, the people in the office were looking at me like, and I had to explain the whole thing. I said, I cannot get these in Louisiana. And, but if you could hold them for me, when the game's over, I'll come get them. And they said, okay. They didn't act like they really wanted to do it, but they did it. And so I should have just told them up front. But that was the little story behind it. And
So
it was better when I bought it in 2010. It seemed like it deteriorated the second go round.
Huh.
What now? But then I bought it.
I guess I never thought about bringing beers into a stadium. You can do that
Not
down
a good idea. Not a good idea. I also bought a 40-ounce bottle once. I can't remember where I bought that. That tasted fine. Heffenreffer had a little bit too much body to it. There was a little heavy bodied, I found, but it's gone now. So
Yeah. You mentioned that other one. We do get St. Ides. We do get Colt 45. We do get Old English 800. We do get King Cobra, but not every single store out there in New England will sell that. And really beyond that, we get 40 ounces of, like Michael Sheldon said, we get the 40 ounces of natural ice. We get 40 ounces of Budweiser, Coors, Lite, PBR. The standard ice beers, they come in pretty much either 32-ounce cans or tall cans. But beyond that, those are really the standard ones that we get, so there's not really much of a variety. And I don't know if that's because maybe other places in the country, in the Midwest or down south, have more of a market for the malt liquors than we do in New England.
Maybe that's true.
Down south, Midwest, I guess.
I don't know.
Well, down south, if you go to Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, you'll get all tons of the high gravity stuff. VSL, Schlitz, or the ice, or the 211 triple export. There's quite a few of them there.
We never got the St. Ides after they switched over to the 8%.
That's true.
Wow.
I could get that only in Jersey.
See, that's another thing that we don't do when it comes to the malt liquors. If we have a malt liquor, we just have an 8. Either we have whatever is the only variant of the beer in its ABV, or we have the 8%. We don't usually go for the lower of the 2 percentages. We usually just have, like with Steel Reserve, we just have that 8%. We've never had the 6, and at least as far as I know.
Yeah, I can only get the 8.1 here in Michigan too.
And to me, I know I've heard it from Jay, and Jay's heard it from me before, but that 8% for me is just way too harsh of a beer. And maybe the 6.1 would be a lot more enjoyable than that 8.1 mess of a beer.
I thought the St. Ides was pleasant when it was 6%.
Mm-hmm.
When it went to 8, I didn't like it as much. But interestingly, when they used to sell Steel Reserve around here starting in 1998, around 90, maybe 96, 98, we used to get Steel Reserve. I have a bottle, and it was 8 8%, 8.1. You know, the old rugged steel reserve. And I used to drink it. I didn't think twice about it. I thought it was a little rough, you know, but it didn't like phase me. And then when they dropped it to 6% in 2003, oh well, it was a lot more enjoyable. That 8%. And I'd like to bring up a little topic real fast.
Go ahead.
That 8% is a little rough. Okay, real fast, Sean. You said, I'm looking at Facebook while I'm talking. You said it's still a tragedy no matter what. And I said, I agree with that. Anytime someone dies, it's a tragedy, really. We were not created to die, but this fallen world, ... Okay. You know what I'm talking about, John?
Yeah, I know.
So it's sad, you know, people dying and killing each other. And I hate all that. But you watch some TV and people seem to love violence. I don't know, it's terrible. But anyway, enough of that philosophy.
Whether it be car wrecks or whatever it is, movies, you know, we say we don't like violence, but we tend to gravitate towards it in the theaters or on television shows, whatnot, you know.
In movies and music glorifies it to a large extent. But talking about high alcohol, I was thinking about this before I knew you were doing this hangout, because there is NFL on, and I'm not going to stay on this for long because the Raiders might lose, and that would be a big deal. And that could,
is that the game you're getting in your area?
Yes, I am. And I said, oh, look at this. Look at this. So that could be something else, you know. I know New England won, but
Big.
that's like saying the sun came up. But
I'm glad you say that.
14-7, San Diego up on Tampa Bay, halftime. Oy, that's not good.
There were days where the Patriots weren't all that stellar, just like the Red Sox.
Yeah, I remember one year they won one game and lost 15.
Yeah.
I won't forget. Hey, but comedic. Hey, but
It is if you drew blood.
I was thinking about these high alcohol things. All right, I'm gonna say this real fast.
Coming. Hold on, guys.
Go do your thing, man. Go do your thing. Go ahead, Ron.
That is your AS. Hey,
Woo.
these high alcohol beers. Okay, like today. You know how sometimes I get off track. Or whatever. So today I did a video for a wine, 12.5% alcohol. That sounds like a lot for beer, right? It is. It's like if I drink a 12.5% alcohol beer, it's stomach turning usually. I can't stand it. It takes forever to drink. You got to take little sips.
Yeah.
It's like gag. But here I'm drinking this Parmesan Burgundy wine, 12.5% alcohol. La-di-da. It's smooth. It was just like I drank it just like I would drink a beer with my lunch, and it was no side effects. I did not feel drunk. I didn't feel. I mean, I laid down on the couch and took a little nap, but that's typical after I eat lunch. You know, that's nothing unusual. But it's so strange that you could take a 12.5% wine, which is considered a table wine because it's below 14%. Nothing. You take a 12.5% beer and drink that much, you're hitting the floor, man.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying about that. Yeah.
You're gonna feel sick. You might throw up. I can't understand why it's both liquid, but one is just almost unbearable. And I guess it's because beer was designed to be low alcohol, not 12%. And wine there's no problem. And then of course hard liquor. Well, that's why they call it hard liquor.
Yeah.
But of course you only take little sips of drinking that brandy early this morning. Sips. But of course, you know, what else you're gonna do? But am I like the wine and then the beer? One is easy going. The other one, oh no, I flee from it almost.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's that it's more filling than wine or what it is, but that totally does make sense. And maybe it's supposed to be designed to be had with food or something like that. I mean the whole wine versus beer. You can have a whole discussion on that, but it seems like there's much more to do with pairing the wines with foods, and then maybe that'll sort of counteract the alcohol feeling of wine than with beer. But you can do the same thing with beer, and it will still.
Right. And I
Careful.
here's the wine, by the way, and it's so good. I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with this
Damn
wine.
good wine too.
Huh.
That's damn good wine, Ryan.
You're right. It was only a bottle, and it's a
How much did you
reusable
pay
bottle.
for a
It's got a
bottle?
cap.
How much
I
was
have
the
my
bottle?
receipt. That's what I'm trying to talk. Yeah, I think it was $5.50.
Damn, you got a steal on that.
Yeah, they had this one store in New Orleans, right outside of New Orleans, about a half mile outside of New Orleans. And you go to one store and it'll be $10 for the bottle, and you go to Dorgnax, it's $5.50. Other stores have $9 for a bottle of port wine. Dorgnax is $4.99. I can't explain it, but I'm not complaining. So, and this website is so detailed. I could not believe it. I said, why?
Better
And I was ranting
prices.
about that.
Better
Hey,
prices.
Mm-hmm.
So
how much this was? $5.50 plus tax. It might have been
that's a good size bottle.
It might have been $5.29, but I was ranting a little bit on the video, which is posted about.
I want to ask that question. I want to ask that similar question that you posed there to John. I don't know what your wine drinking experience is. John just walked away. Never mind. Whoops.
Ask him to get back. But what I'm saying is, I was going to rant. I was ranting on the video. I was talking about how detailed this. You might want to mute that.
There we go.
They tell you who the winemaker is, where he went to college, what degrees he has, how long he's worked for the company. No joke. They tell you all the specs on the wine, what it should be paired with, what food, how to drink it, like the temperature. It's super detailed. What other wine companies, brands compete against it. And I was saying, how come beer companies can't do this? Anheuser-Busch will and Miller will, but some of these beer companies, you get on there, no ingredients, information. It's like, why can't they do this? It's so irritating. It's too often.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to get ready to go. Family obligations tend to I need to get that bottle of Parmesan. So
Burgundy wine.
Burgundy wine.
Hey, John. Take
All
care,
right,
buddy.
Stand by tonight. It'll be posted tonight when I get home, probably late this evening. I will do a review of the Foster's Premium Ale. So
Nice.
watch this. Just have your news feed on Facebook and whatever on YouTube. So stand by. It will be done tonight.
I'll watch that.
A lot of obligations I got to take care of right now with family. Get people here, take this person here, take this person there. But anyway.
All right.
That's part of
Yes.
That's called.
That's how it goes.
All right. We'll talk to you
All right,
later.
John. Take it easy, man.
Cheers. See you
Later.
soon.
All right.
I'm shutting this light off, by the way.
Okay. What are you eating, Michael Sheldon Jr.?
What's up?
Yeah, what
What are you eating with your beer? What you got going on? All right.
Ooh.
That looks delicious. Does that go with Natty Ice or Natural Light?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Is he drinking Natural Light?
What are you drinking currently?
Now I'm drinking Natural Light.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah,
I got the old one.
mashed potatoes with chicken, barbecue chicken
The
with
ice.
peas.
That sounds good. I'm drinking the new and improved. Ta-da!
Milwaukee's best lager.
I have not seen that yet in New England, nor do I know, except for maybe contacting the distributors, where to find that.
Are you going to do a vertical between the two, Ron?
Nah,
Can you
I don't
get the
think
old
so.
one?
Do you think it? I was trying to ask Jean the question about that beer earlier. Is there really? What's the difference besides alcohol percentage to that one versus premium?
Got a little more body. Got a little more alcohol. It's just a little pumped up, a little jacked
Do
up.
you think it's a different recipe, or they're basically the same?
Probably a little different recipe.
I liked it. I liked it when they bumped it up.
It's not profoundly different, but it's
Yeah.
different. Now, the ice beer is profoundly different, and I think it's too strong, but
Mhm.
Yeah, I do too.
Love it. Other people are saying they hit the ball out the ballpark and they just raving about it. But I would rather drink a 5.9% beer than a 6.9.
I mean, when I looked at it, Ron, I didn't think it was that bad either. I mean, I just preferred the 5.9. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. And you know what they're selling that 6 point? They got them both on the shelf right now at the same time, both of them. I could do a vertical, but I'm not. But they 2 pint cans. Pint. What did I just say?
Yeah, you said pint. Yeah, you said pint.
2 quart cans for $3. Oh, $2.98. 2 quart cans for $2.98. So you can get $1.49 per quart can.
There's a good website. I just found. It's called MillerCoorsBlog.com. They have a little article here, and it's called 5 Things You May Not Know About Milwaukee's Best. 1, it's won a lot of awards. 2, it was local for a long, long time. 3,
Right.
Milwaukee's Best went away for a little bit, and they say that it was brewed until '76, and then Miller Lite went national, and they needed to be distributed a lot harder than the Milwaukee's Best. So between '76 and '84, there was no Milwaukee's Best, I guess.
I remember in 1980.
Yeah, go ahead.
I clearly this. In 1984, I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And all these guys, I never drank alcohol back then, but all these guys in high school were talking about, there's this new beer, Milwaukee's Best. And they were all buying it, 15, 16, drinking it, getting drunk, of course. And they were saying, oh, it's so terrible. I said, well, you drinking it? Oh, yeah, we drinking it.
Must have been a good price.
I remember seeing it. Oh, yeah, it was probably.
Yeah,
like,
they said that their slogan in '84 was old-time quality, old-time price.
it was the best looking label because it had the wagon with the beer barrels on it and the horses pulling it.
Right.
And then it had the brewery in the background, said Milwaukee Brewery. It's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But then they got away from that. But they've always had the shield on it. But
Yeah.
I just remember that. And it was in the store, and my friend was talking about it. Of course, he would drink. He's an admitted alcoholic today. He's like out of control for the last 30 years.
Not good.
Sad.
And he told, it's very sad. I mean, we're talking about a train wreck of a life.
Ugh.
And he was like, I don't like cocaine. It's too strong. It's like,
Wow. But anyways, wait a minute. Okay, there we go.
he would. He'll honestly tell you that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the world that guy's currently in, which is sad.
His life is marijuana and beer. I mean, it's really sad, but
The other 2 things from that article quickly here was that they say, at least in fall 2016, it says today it has a new look, the Milwaukee's Best. So they've done obviously a lot of other packaging, and they say the new look is bold and contemporary with the shield logo and beer sign icon. That's a toast to the packaging of the past. And finally, they talk about the name change with the Milwaukee's Best Lager. They say the premium is now the best lager. They say the ABV on the best lager is now 4.8, and the best ice is now 6.9%.
that's right.
And I guess this is a part of their blogs they do on Miller Coors called Behind the Beer. So
I've read the articles many times. They're very interesting.
I like that one, so I'm definitely going to look into these. And they have 13 best ideas made better with beer for gifts. So that's kind of cool. And how to get into the beer business, ultimate summertime beer pairing cheat sheet, but even though it's not the summer anymore.
But if you read their website carefully, they go along with what I'm saying. To the beer business, like really into it.
Yeah.
You need to get a bachelor's degree in food science or biology or fermentation science, because otherwise they are not going to hire you. You look on their website and they talk about all their breweries and their brewmasters, same with Anheuser-Busch, and they'll tell you where those people went to college, and they've all got at least a bachelor's degree in science, if not a master's, but at least a bachelor's. So a little craft brewery making peanuts, happy with that. But if you want to make it in the big time world, you got to get that degree, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Exactly. So, I guess we'll continue this discussion off air. If anybody was watching this video, which actually was 0, so thank you for not watching this video, but please comment, rate, and subscribe to the channel. Again, I want to thank everybody. I know, I want to thank everybody at least for making us 107 people strong in the Massachusetts Beer Reviews group on Facebook. To me, that's still amazing. I'm so glad that people are still interested in craft beer. I personally, I like craft beer, and if it were ever to, just like with the stock markets back in the 20s, if craft beer was ever to crash, I would probably be a little disappointed and heartbroken, but I'd still enjoy good old American lagers and times with friends and buddies and people that I've met and acquainted with on the social media. So,
right, but if it did crash, it wouldn't end craft beer. It would just wash out a lot of the weaker ones. You know?
You're probably right. There would still be those Blue Moon kind of pseudo crafty kind of beers, right?
I mean, there would still be craft beer companies would just wash out a lot of the weaker elements.
Yeah, it's sort of like natural selection, right? In a way.
Right. That's correct.
But if y'all want to just say who you are and your YouTube channels, that would be fantastic. And I will post you guys down below in the comments or in the description of this video. But I am obviously Thomas Meadow 75 from the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube in southeastern Massachusetts.
I'm Ronald with Louisiana Beer Reviews.
I'm Eric Brenner, Eric a Lions fan. Thanks for watching.
And who are you, Mr. Rhode Island?
Michael Sheldon Jr. on Facebook.
All right.
Manager.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this Beer and BS. And as I say on my beer review channel, until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. We'll see you soon.
Deuces, guys.